Is police pay really worth the risk? How much do cops get paid? As a former police officer, I am breaking down the paycheck reality of what police officers make, ranging from the large departments like NYPD and LAPD to the smaller departments, so you can decide if the job is right for you. But let's be honest, even if someone's getting paid a lot at a bigger agency, there's still some things to consider, and policing is not one of those jobs where you get into it because of just the money. So let's break it down some more. Per joinlapd.com, is showing $92,143 while you're a trainee, and then being bumped to $97,300 when you become a full-time police officer. Per ziprecruiter.com, NYPD, as of February 17, 2025, the average pay for an entry-level police officer in New York is $67,992 a year. And on this website about Chicago police, the average starting pay is an annual salary of $58,842. But check out that pay bump to $88,746 after 18 months. And yes, I'm going to be broad in this video because there's 18,000 police departments, and there's no way I can give a number for every single one of them, okay? But I'm also making this video to supplement information that I talked about in this video, where if you get into law enforcement at an older age, you might take a pay cut. It's something to consider. But after 5 years, you could easily be making 80 to 100K to more, and especially considering overtime assignments, well into the six figures at these big agencies like NYPD, LAPD. But before you get, oh man, they are loaded with cash. Look, we can never underestimate and overlook the cost of living, particularly California, New York. I don't think it's a secret that California is one of the most expensive states to live in the country. No wonder their pay has to be so high. I mean, when you consider cost of living, because we've had inflation, so eggs and other grocery items and all things are just, the prices have increased. And then there's housing costs. You look at the property values of homes in, say, the Bay Area of California, and you're like, wow, they're so expensive. But also the state taxes, California, New York, don't they tax a lot? I'm pretty sure they do. So it's something to consider that when you're working in a big agency, just because it pays a heck of a lot more, it doesn't mean that they're rolling in cash, like I said. However, where I work, the starting average pay now is $55,000, which has gone up over the years. And the salary ranges from 60 to 90K. However, the city just south of it is a metropolitan city. And let me tell you, those officers, they make a good amount of money, but the property values and the property taxes and stuff like that are higher. So let's dive in more to the mid-size department. Like Sarasota Police Department, the starting pay for an officer is $61,000. Or like the city of Madison, Wisconsin, where you start out at $63,073, and after 6 months you get bumped up to $69,777. Or like in Chesapeake, Virginia, the starting pay is $51,150 during the academy and increases to $55,100 after graduation. Oh, by the way, I know the recruiter, Sergeant Dupree Foster, excellent guy. So if you're thinking about Chesapeake, Virginia, I bet you'll enjoy your conversation with him. And after 5 years, you'll be making about $70,000 to $90,000. There might be less overtime opportunities, and that means like off duty and stuff like that, where you get paid extra. There might be less of that compared to the big departments. However, typically you're in a more affordable area of living. And when it comes to the mid-sized departments, there's some benefits to it, such as take-home cars. So it's more than just beyond salary or that hourly pay. But then you get into these small towns where you might just start out at $50,000, if that. Now, this was several years ago, and I sure as heck hope they've adjusted their pay. But I do remember that I was talking to an officer who worked at a smaller town agency, and he said that by the time he filed his taxes, he was living at poverty level, like what is known as poverty level. Like I said, that was several years ago. I hope they raised their pay. But this just goes to show many officers are not in it for the money. Yes, you have to get paid enough to be able to live and put food on the table for yourself, your family, and have a place to live. But unfortunately, with the way things are nowadays, with housing costs and stuff like that, all right, never mind, different topic in and of itself. Now, I highly encourage you to consider this aspect of when it comes to pay and the mission. Just because you're considering working at an agency that pays higher than, say, most agencies, and you've already considered the cost of living, state taxes, all that kind of stuff, and you're still going to take home a hefty paycheck, which I mean, there are places that pay pretty well. It doesn't necessarily mean it will be a more fulfilling career. There are plenty of officers who work at the higher paying agencies who are absolutely miserable. Not saying just because they work at a bigger agency, they're miserable. No, not everybody's meant to work in a small town. What I'm saying is you have to factor in how are you going to be at work, because there are officers, like I said, making a lot of money who are miserable. And then there are some at lower paying agencies, but they're, say, working in jurisdictions where there's a court system that actually holds people accountable. There's better leadership, stuff like that, where they're happier at work versus someone who's getting paid more. Now, look, these are broad statements. It's ultimately up to you as to how you are for your morale and how you're perceiving things and the action you're willing to take to have a successful, fulfilling career in law enforcement. But I don't want someone to associate they get paid a lot, they must be happy. Those big bureaucracies can be a huge headache. But yes, at the same time, they can have more opportunity. It's just something to consider. And this is really important when it comes to working at a place where there's more leadership rather than toxic management, to which that could change in any given month or year. But there's so much to consider more than just the numerics on that paycheck. Ultimately, you have to do what's best for you and your family, and it's a lot to consider. The last thing I want to say is when it comes to police officers' pay is if you want to learn more about how to be financially successful when working in law enforcement, then click that link that just appeared up there, and it'll take you to a video where I interviewed Nick Doherty of The Financial Cop, and he gives good financial advice. But you've heard me say it throughout the video that overall police don't get into it because of the money. They get into it because of the mission, that calling they have. That's something way beyond themselves. That service for others. And yes, obviously some forget and lose sight of that and completely go rogue and make everybody look bad. I get that. But that, all right, tangent over on that. For those who are in it for the right reasons and they're sticking with it, at that point it becomes money versus mission. But sometimes there's good pay and there's the mission. But if you're in it for the money, then I assure you there are many other safer careers out there that can pay you the same, if not a heck of a lot more, say in corporate America. But if you have the ability to thrive under pressure and you don't want the same day twice, that kind of thing, like no routine to it, particularly when it comes to patrol, but yet you are called to help others and protect others, man, there is no other job like it, in my opinion. And while I wouldn't work at a department that doesn't pay so well that I couldn't afford to live, I knew I wasn't rolling in cash when I worked as a police officer, but the mission, it was so much worth it. And the retirement benefits, you get them if you do a full career. However, and I've said this on other videos, no officer, in my opinion, should ever hold themselves hostage for a retirement date. This is not all you know. You have learned a lot from the profession, and there are many other people who have worked in many other career fields who have worked on their retirement plan and are just fine. If you're over it, it's not worth your health to stay in. If it's not working out for your family, put them first and find another opportunity, because you can do something afterwards to set yourself up for financial success. I hope you learned a few things from this video. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care.